Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. What is going on, everybody? So great to have you back here with us. 2025. You're here with us, Turf Today, presented by Toro. And this episode is being recorded on the Superintendent Network. You guys got to check out YouTube right now. Go to the SN Superintendent Network YouTube channel because the episodes are getting loaded. They're getting loaded day by day. We're putting more and more up, and you get to see us, our ugly mugs. It's awesome. I would say more people definitely listen to the show, just the audio. But if you want to, throw it on the computer, or you want to throw it on the TV somewhere, go ahead. It's always fun to have our faces and get to see and interact a little bit with our guests too, which is always fun. So today on the show, John Zimmers, one of the most requested people we've had by far on this show, joins us from the Inverness Club. Great conversation. This one's a really good one. Definitely get a lot out of it. It's great just rocking with this beat, no? Another one from Beats by Wooga, who is a superintendent now, or I guess they call it course manager over in Ireland. So congratulations to you, brother. Appreciate the tracks. We're going to be sending you some Turf Today swag. So if it's your first time listening to the show, my name is Adam Kershane. I'm one of the hosts. We are also joined by Brian Laurent, a co-host from Ohio. We're going to be joined by Brian right after a word from our amazing sponsors, the Toro Company. And I should mention, stick around to the end of this episode where we're going to be going over how the Ask the Agronomist section is going to work with the show, because there's lots of moving parts and we want to be able to get everybody's questions answered. We've already got a bunch of good ones, and we know at the show there's going to be a good opportunity for people to get more in there and potentially win some stuff from the Andersons. So stick around to the end of the show to check that out. All right, we'll catch you on the other side. This is going to be a good one. Welcome to the Turf Today podcast, proudly brought to you by Toro. There's a lot of buzz about alternative power right now, and for good reason. Battery-powered equipment is super quiet, so it's less disruptive for operators and the neighbors. With Toro products, you can reduce emissions and save fuel without sacrificing power or performance. Electric or hybrid, gas or diesel, Toro's golf lineup gives you options. So whether you're mowing or hauling, you can always choose what's right for you. That's Toro. Always solving and always evolving.
What's up?
We're back.
We are back, and look at you with that sign.
It's huge, isn't it?
So good. So good.
We put it up the other day. I looked at my wife. I was like, I think it's a little big. She's like, yep, it's a little big, but
it's all right, man. It looks great.
Statement piece, right?
It is a statement piece. Good for you. How was your Christmas?
Christmas has been great, man. It's been all family stuff. We went to mass with our extended family Christmas Eve and basically spent the whole day with my folks, and my sister was over just playing with all the kids' toys and,
nice.
having food and having drinks. So it's such a great time just to be with family and kind of recharge. I put my phone away for a good 3 or 4 days, didn't really check too much, which was nice and not like me, but it was a really good reset. So
that's awesome. Good for you, man. And the kids enjoyed it?
They had a great time.
Or at least Will.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. He woke up 3 times really early and came to get me. And did Santa come yet? Nobody. No, go back to bed. And then finally we kind of all woke up and he was still sleeping. So I went to get him and I was like, hey buddy, I think Santa came. And he just looked at me and he's like, what did you say? I think Santa's here. And he took off.
Oh, that's awesome,
So,
man. That's great.
I had a great morning with him and our family.
Absolutely. Look, you got your parrot too, huh?
Oh yeah. I
Love
miss
it.
Florida so much.
I agree.
It
I
was such a
agree.
great trip. We hit so many good spots and met some great people. So it's just you come back home, and although your family he is here and all your stuff, it's like, ah, it's so cold here. There's no golf here. Things aren't. It's just so different, and that's why
Yeah.
people spend so much time down there. They live half the year down there because it's just perfect.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty nice. It was a that was a great trip. So we're gonna have to get Jason on the pod here. He was
Hmm.
a great host for us down there for a little bit. So be nice to connect with him and share his story with some people. So
Yeah, and he told some good stories while we were on the course. We're kind of like, shit, she's got to save
I
this.
know, I know.
Remember this one for the show.
We're gonna have to we're gonna have to do a little some sort of makeup sesh for that. Didn't go as planned, but I think it worked out as it should have. So
Oh, it was great. Got a lot of
great.
stuff planned for this year, and
Yep.
yeah, I'm very excited, which is good.
Yep. Absolutely.
So how about you guys?
It's good Christmas. It was good. We just we kind of stayed around here. We had Christmas with my wife's dad. Over the weekend before Christmas, we had a lacrosse tournament and we had hockey all weekend. So we had five lacrosse games over the weekend and two hockey games. So we were bouncing all over the place and ended up going to my father-in-law's for Christmas, watched the Buckeyes play Saturday night, and then Christmas morning
Nice.
it was, we slept in till like 8:30. My kids are older now and they,
Right.
the whole Santa magic isn't the same. So woke up at 8:30. I think my our daughter slept in till about 9, and the boys were starting to get a little anxious come 9 o'clock. But that's one of those things. I told them, I said, guys, you're getting to that age where you don't get as many gifts, but the gifts you do get are going to be a little more expensive, and the gifts you get are going to be much more practical. So, it's going to be boring. My
Yeah.
oldest son he got a bunch of gift cards. He drives and everything, so we got him a bunch of gas cards and fast food gift cards and stuff, so he can, and then Visa gift cards so he can take his girlfriend out and stuff like that. It's like, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So just boring little stuff that goes a long way. So
Well, and at that age, how do you really know what they want, right? They're so
they don't
busy
want
and they get so
anything.
much different stuff going on. Things are always
Yeah.
changing. So it's like, here's some money. Just
That's
whatever you
it.
want to do with it.
That's it. Yeah. I think my oldest wanted some hockey gear or something like here, just have some gift cards, go pick out whatever you
Right.
want. So, the 13-year-olds wanted lacrosse stuff and bikes. So they got lacrosse stuff and bikes and, it is what it is.
Hmm.
Nice and easy. So
It is easy,
yeah,
especially if they want stuff like that, or it's just like, okay, we'll go get it. Make it
that's
easy on
it.
everybody.
That's it. And then all the parents and in-laws and all that kind of stuff ask me and my wife, what do you guys want? Like, well, I'm an adult. If I want something, I just
Right.
go get it. I
I
don't
want to go
need
buy it.
anything.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It makes for a boring Christmas,
that's
but
a
no,
tough
it's
one. My
great.
wife always complains about that. You're so hard to buy for. It's just
Yeah.
like, I don't, if I want something, I'm going to go get it. If we need something, we're probably going to buy it. But other than
Yep.
that, I'm not somebody who needs one of everything. So it's hard
Yep.
to, it's hard to need something every day or need something every Christmas. But we
Yep.
we manage. We managed to get
Yep.
by. My wife did a great job this Christmas. She was, presents for everybody. She did the Christmas cards. She had cookies and stuff,
Nice.
like all set up for Will's school. She killed
Man.
Christmas this year. Yeah. Like I didn't really do much. I was the kind of the supportive role and whatever you need, honey, I can pick up or I can wrap or I can do, but she pretty much handled everything. Like I came home from Florida and she had most of it done. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. And you didn't get grief for it?
No, no, things worked out well.
Nice.
I think my
That's good.
family, my parents really helped out well. Will stayed at their house a few times and
Oh,
just
good.
helped with pickups and drop-offs and stuff. So it seemed to be okay, but parenting can be a two-person job sometimes. So it's
Oh, yeah.
when you're by yourself, I feel for people that are raising kids on their own and stuff because it can't be easy.
No, no. Takes a village, that's for sure, right?
Hmm.
No, that's awesome. But yeah, no, it was good Christmas. So it's been nice and we're rolling just a couple more days to the new year, right? So
Yeah, and get going again. I know
kicking
I
things off with a bang here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been feeling like we kind of got to get back to work. It is nice to take some time
Oh,
off, but yeah, getting
man.
remotivated to get back to work. I opened my laptop today and answered some emails, went back on a turf today and was going through some things. Like it just kind of feels like, yeah, like you said, New Year's coming. So it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of fun. And Yeah. Why don't you let people know about our guest today? Probably one of the most requested guests finally on the show.
Yeah, John Zimmers. He's a legend, man. He's an
Legend.
icon. Yeah, so he's at Inverness these days. Obviously, spent a lot of time in Oakmont and a couple other places during his journey in the industry. But I think he's probably as well known for sending people along. He's another one of those guys that just has done an incredible job of training young professionals and sending them out into the workplace. So it'd be nice to talk to him a little bit about that and his experience hosting majors and just how he got into the industry and everything. So I'm really excited for today's guest.
Yeah, he seems like somebody who's done a lot in the industry. I'm interested to see how much he dives into, some of the little details because he has gotten into a lot of different stuff. So I'm interested to hear about his leadership style as well because we talk a lot about that. And he's one of those guys, like you said, he's helped a lot of people move on. So I'd like to hear about all that.
Yep, absolutely. It'll be a good one. Yeah, little horse in the throat there.
Little horse in the throat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, I mean, like you mentioned, just getting anxious, getting ready to go here. So I'm sitting around talking with the wife, watching shows, catching up on our Netflix series and all that. I'm like, I'm just bored. Like, it's like I haven't been on the road. I haven't done any visits or anything in a while. It's like I'm itching. I need to get back on the road.
Yeah, no, I was having that same feeling. Like we're just such creatures of habit, and our
Yeah,
jobs, our lives these days, right? Are don't just work a regular 9 to 5. Things are always coming at us, and there's always things to do, always somebody to answer. So when you do take a few days where you're not doing much, it's kind of like there's something I should be doing right now. But
yeah,
I think that kind of teaches us though that we do need to slow down a little bit because you do need to have that transition where it's just like, hey, slow down, think about things that are the right things to think about and spend your time the right way with people that you care about. And
yeah.
yeah, but I think we're here. It's time to get back on the saddle and I'm excited for this interview. I think people are going to get a lot out of this and it
No,
leads
yeah.
us into some great people we're going to be talking to this year. I know we've already started putting lists together and reaching out to a few men and women. So it's all coming together, man.
Yeah, and then we got the big conference coming up, and well, I guess by the time this thing's released, it'll be less than a month. So that'll
That's
be
gonna come. That's gonna hit us so quickly.
it's
Like that's
coming
that's
hot and
gonna be
heavy.
here. Yeah, it's a month from now. People are probably gonna start traveling down. We're a month away from the hockey tournament actually. So I was just texting a
Yeah.
few of the guys about that. We're like, should we get on the ice? Maybe get together, start skating a little bit, see if we have a full squad. But yeah,
How many teams do you guys have?
I'm not organizing it, so I'm not
Okay.
100% sure. I think last year, Mark said we were like 12 or 15 teams, something like that, and then they just
Yeah.
put them into different divisions. So hoping we're a little bit more. I think there was a couple teams didn't make it last year that hopefully get in this year. And yeah, it's just a busy time. You got you have your own conference. A lot of people have their own chapter events and things going on right now or early in the year, and then hockey tournament, big conference. And then we take a couple months to get ready for golf, and then it's Masters, and the whole thing starts all over again. I don't know
Man.
about you, but I always find social media, like as soon as Masters starts, the talk for Masters starts to come and, will Tiger play? What are they doing at the course this year? When that stuff starts happening, I find that's when we really ramp up on social media and people really start getting excited about the game and the courses again.
Yeah, I mean, that is always go time, right? That's when the excitement is at its absolute peak. And I feel like it goes Masters and then it goes Christmas, right? It's
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
year goes so fast once the Masters is over. And
Yeah, it
I know
zips.
last year, especially with all the tournaments and stuff like that we covered, I mean, it just was hot and heavy and nonstop. So yeah, no, it is. That's always the annual kickoff, and golfers are excited, and things are starting, in the north, starting to come back to life, and golfers are gearing up and anxious. So
Hmm.
yeah, man, it's gonna be. God, I'm already just starting to think of the year ahead, and man, it's just gonna go by so fast again. It's like
It'd be
it's like
quick.
after kids, right? It's after kids, when you're in college and all that kind of stuff and you're growing up, it's like time just seems to go forever. And then all of a sudden you have a job and kids, and it's just like, man, it just goes by so fast.
Just flies. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does. Really does. Blink and all of a sudden you got kids driving and turning 45 and all sorts of crazy stuff starts happening.
So I wonder if it's going to be a little different this year with the TGL. the Tiger
Oh
Golf League.
yeah.
Like, is that going to be a little bit more excitement for the
Is it
game of
called the
golf?
Tiger Golf League?
I've been seeing a lot that's TGL. So I think
It's
that,
TGL. I don't think it's actually Tiger though.
okay. Well, I'm always
I,
wrong about that kind of thing. So
well, look, I mean, Tiger's one of the big guys behind it, so it's probably fitting.
yeah, and I don't know if I've ever seen it written out or anything because they were trying to launch it last year, right? And then the building had
Yeah.
a
Yeah, they had a whoopsie
collapse
into the
or
building.
something.
So
So they
speaking of
had.
Tiger, and not to get off
Mhm.
topic here, but did you watch the PNC?
I saw a little bit of it. Yeah, they covered a little bit of
Holy
it up here,
moly.
and it was yeah, pretty cool. We you got to see the hole in one and everything with Charlie, which was insane. I mean, the poor kid didn't get to see the ball go in the hole, but the fact that
I
Tiger was
know.
there and was so excited.
I mean, that might have been one of the most entertaining golf events of the year.
Yeah,
I hate to say it. I mean, we had some good events this year, but my gosh, that was so good.
yeah, and to be that competitive and yeah, and Langer, I know people were chirping Langer saying he was hitting from the shorter tees or whatever,
The
but I mean,
forward tees.
like, wasn't everybody else kind of in that same category? Like, whether you're a good golfer or haven't played very much, you're all out there playing, competing with your family. So, but
I have a feeling we might see new tees next year.
yeah, yeah, just to
Yeah,
separate things a little bit might not be a bad
I
idea.
have a feeling. I have a feeling they're going to adjust the tees next year. Because
Hmm.
I mean, give me a break. Bernhard Longer, how many times has he won? He just won
Yeah.
out in Arizona, the big thing, and he's got a 100-yard advantage or something.
Hmm.
It's a lot. I think we're going to see some changes. All right, I found it. Tomorrow's golf league, TGL.
Tomorrow's
Tomorrow's golf
golf
league.
league.
Yeah,
I kind of like Tiger's golf league better, but hey, that's
yeah.
just me.
I mean, I think that's what it's going to be known as, Tigers Golf League. Him and Rory, I think, are the guys that put it all together.
Hmm.
I think it's
Tomorrow's golf league.
tomorrow. Yeah, checking it all out here,
But it
doing my
starts soon, does it
research.
not? Like I thought it was a
January
January launch.
6th.
January 6th?
January
There you
6th.
go.
Yep. Let's see.
That'll be the day before this episode comes out. This comes out on the 7th.
All right. So
There you
then,
go.
yeah, well,
Everybody's already watched it. It was a phenomenon.
I can't wait to watch it. I'm
It's
actually
gonna be
really
cool.
excited to see what it's all about.
Yeah, the
The
size of that
venue looks
screen and
awesome.
everything.
Yeah, it looks like they're in what's the big sphere or whatever in Vegas? I mean, it looks
Right.
like they're playing in the sphere.
That's right. Just a
And they
massive movie screen in front of them.
yeah. Let's see. TGL explained the holes. What are we doing the holes? Oh, that's right. They did. They created some crazy golf courses.
Oh, okay. So they're gonna be playing some of like their own custom courses instead of playing tour courses.
Yeah, it's like Golden Tee. It's
Golden
like
Tee.
there's some
Right.
like Golden Tee looking holes on here. There's some that just look absolutely nuts, and there's some that actually look like decent golf holes. So I'm checking out the website right now. Semi distracted.
No, it's all good.
Looks
So it's
pretty
cool to
sweet.
learn about something that you thought was named something else for a year. Like, oh, life changed.
But the stadiums look cool. I mean, they've got the artificial greens in there with real bunkers, and they've got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I think the
They
greens like
get
rotate and stuff like that and move.
Yeah, yeah. So for anything inside approximately 50 yards, players move to a physical custom-built green zone. A 22,000 square foot short game area transforms between holes. Green zone includes a 41-yard wide turntable that rotates the green to change approach angles and can morph its topography using nearly 600 actuators.
Nasty.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun,
I
man.
wonder what they would charge for somebody to actually go there because they must open it up to the public at some point for people to go and play.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Gonna have to do a deep dive into this today.
Be the most
It's gonna
expensive simulator around your life.
Yeah, I know, right? That it'd be worth it.
But if it
This looks
works
pretty
out, a
sweet.
model like that could work somewhere like up here. We have 5 months of no golf, maybe
Yeah.
6 months of no golf. You could open something like that that could kill it all
Yep.
winter long.
Yep. Absolutely. Like if they did one of those indoor pop strokes or something, right? How busy would that
Hmm.
be up in your area?
Yeah, it'd be huge. Be huge. Like we
That
have a simulator place right down the road. It's got like 9 bays. It's always booked. It's always jammed. So
yeah.
why not have something that's a little bit bigger, has more options. You could just go there, work on your short game, work on your sand play. I don't know, just give you more. But I always
I
wonder about those
wonder.
things in the summer. Like, does that just sit empty? You got to figure out something else to do with it.
Right? That's it. We we have one of these near us, just one of those indoor simulator places too. And that's I asked the guys, the owners, how are you guys going to make it during the summer? Oh no, it'll be great. We'll have all sorts of corporate events and all sorts of stuff. I think the key is to have a bar.
You gotta have
Got to
a
have a
bar.
bar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Even in the summertime, people come in to have a couple drinks and hang out with their buddies. So
Hmm.
that'll be about it.
Us here at Turf Today are very excited to announce one of our new sponsors, Standard Golf. And for over 100 years, Standard Golf has been the trusted name in golf course accessories. As investors and innovators, they design, manufacture, and assemble cutting-edge tools that deliver precision, durability, and eye-catching design, all proudly made in the USA. More than just a manufacturer, Standard Golf is a dedicated partner to superintendents and sport turf managers, supporting their line of work with a seamless supply chain and exceptional customer service. At Standard Golf, they're not just manufacturing accessories like the SG Pro Hole Cutter, ST2000 Cup, Royal Line Flagstick, and Green Activator. They're helping you build better playing surfaces. Standard Golf, crafted for superintendents, driven by innovation.
You got me?
Yeah,
There
there
he
we go.
is.
There we go.
Sorry about
Go-
that. I can't get through on the network here at the club.
Oh, no worries. They got you all locked down there, making sure you're not searching up stuff you shouldn't be.
It's probably just me not knowing what I'm doing, but all these upgrades, who knows?
I I
Yeah.
hear
Who
you. I
knows?
hear.
So I'm on the phone now. So whatever,
Yeah, it
whatever.
works, man. Merry Christmas. How are you?
Merry Christmas to you guys. How about you? Everybody good?
All good. All
Yeah, things
good.
are good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is Adam, John. This is Adam. So he's the host here of our show. So we appreciate you coming on and look forward to chatting with you here a little bit about your career and experience and all that kind of stuff. But for those that may not be too familiar with who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself there, John.
Oh boy, I guess I've been around now for longer than I probably want to say. So, uh, so yeah, time goes fast, right? How are you doing, Adam?
Oh, things are good. Things are good, John. It's
Yeah,
really good to
good.
meet you.
Yeah.
And we were just talking before here. I think you might be one of the most requested guests we've had on the show. People, write in their requests, or people that come on the show give references and recommend people to come on. So your name is always on there. And we've started to work with the Andersons a little bit. And
Yeah.
they're somebody that works with you, and they've recommended you come on. So we're very excited to have you on here. We're very fortunate to bring you on today. So yeah, like Brian just said, we'd love to hear about kind of your story, your upbringing, how you got into the game of golf, and now where you're at these days.
Well, let me start by saying that I'm not really much of a golfer, but I love the golf business. And any of my other colleagues they would confirm that I'm not much of a golfer. But if I do golf with you, I guarantee I'll have fun with you. So that's the most important part.
100%.
Yeah. No, I kind of got into business. Boy, my story goes back to I got out of high school when I was searching a little bit about what I was going to do, trying to figure it out. I was a decent baseball player, obviously not good enough to make it to the next level, hurt my arm. And had a chance to kind of maybe do some baseball, some scholarships before I got hurt. I was a pitcher, and it really didn't work out. So I had to kind of regroup, find myself, and figure out, what am I going to do? And I grew up in a very, very small town back in central Pennsylvania, about 20 minutes outside of State College, PA. So I was doing some landscape work, loved it, and just realized, I got to figure out what I'm going to do, and I got to figure out how I'm going to pay the bills. And I answered a newspaper ad in the Altoona Mirror. That's a pretty small little newspaper back there, and that happened to be uh, Paul R. Latshaw, and he was leaving Augusta National, going to Wilmington Country Club. And back then, you make a phone call. I happened to connect, and I took a ride about 4.5 hours away, and that's how I got started. Went down, started working for him, and I don't know, it was probably 3, 4 months in. He pulled me to the side and said, you need to think about going to school for this. So I did. And this is where the controversy comes in. Being a state college PA, Penn State boy, I decided to go to Rutgers. So, but my heart's still back there in central Pennsylvania, and I had a wonderful education, with Rutgers Turfgrass. It was just more of a convenient thing at that point in time, and at that point, I think you'll probably hear me say this a lot today, but it's really, I think, up to what you want to inspire to do, or how you inspire to define success, or whatever it might be. But I got given an opportunity, and I really believe I took the most of it.
What was it about the industry that kind of captured you, John? What was it that really drew you in and said, "All right, this is it"?
Well, I've always been kind of an outdoor guy, growing up, I guess maybe it's different generations, but, we were outside. If we weren't outside, we were outside cutting the grass. We weren't outside, we were doing something. If we weren't outside, we were washing a car. If not, we were with our buddies playing sports, or we were hunting, or we were doing something like that. So, I always knew I wanted to be outside. I think the landscape business is a really fascinating business. It's very, very hard work. You're building, patios or rock walls and hardscape, and, big trees you're moving around. So that kind of led me to, like, a lot of the construction aspect of things. Getting into the golf, that part kind of came easy. I had to learn kind of the disease aspect, and the fine tuning of things, and, all the different agronomic things that were golf course related versus landscape. But, it kind of came natural to me, and I got my first opportunity. As I said, I got done with school at Rutgers, and Mr. Latshaw moved to Congressional. He asked me to go, so I was pretty young. I was probably 24, 25, give or take, and I got to experience my first renovation, getting ready for the Senior Open in '95, and they're preparing for the '97 U.S. Open. So a lot of that came really fast to me, but I also was around the construction aspect of things, so that kind of came a little bit easier to me. And then I got my first opportunity. I think it was before the '97 Open. It was like the fall of '95. Tom Fazio built a golf course up in Chardon, Ohio, and it's actually basically the headquarters of Best Sand, top dressing sand, the bunker sand, the whole deal. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful project. And I was there from day one, before anything ever happened. So I was with the survey team, the whole deal. And that kind of really, gave me a different perspective on construction, and then turning it into a golf course that opened. And, to this day, it's still very, very special to a lot of us that worked together. Had a big core group that was there. We were really proud. It opened up and came in Golf Digest at number 52, and it just kind of led to a lot of other opportunities for me.
So I got to take a step back to your Wilmington days. Then did you live in those little apartments there, near the shop?
I actually did not, but I spent enough time there doing other things.
Okay, yeah, those are some of the best memories of my life there at those little apartments, and on that little sledding hill we turned it into back there. So cool.
And being here now in Toledo, it's kind of like a little small pocket of the world too, and it reminds me a little bit of Wilmington in some ways. It's just a small little city, and but Wilmington was very, very special, where Tracy and I got our start.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about baseball, your baseball days. You're a pitcher. What was your best pitch other than the fastball? Obviously, you must have had something.
Oh yeah. I mean, but I threw really hard. But the problem I realized, I threw hard, had a pretty good curveball. But as you progress and throw harder, they just hit it harder.
The harder it comes in, the harder it goes out, right?
There's a lot of truth to that. And I realized I once had a coach, and he said, John, your problem is you throw too many strikes. They know you're going to throw strikes, and
they know what's coming.
Now I still reflect on that, but yes. So
that's awesome.
I often wish I was sitting down there in the bullpen, just getting ready to go, but
yeah,
wasn't good. I wasn't good enough.
So tell us a little bit, like, some of the similarities between, being on a team like that, having a position like that, and then transferring over and being on a turf crew and also working, as a team, sort of thing.
Well, I think sports in the golf business has a lot of similarities. You get together, you work together. It's very team oriented, in my opinion. You set out, you have certain goals. You try to focus on what is it that we want to accomplish today, but yet, in sports they say don't look ahead, but yet you got to look ahead if there's a member event or whatever it might be, or whatever the weather pattern is going to be. Um, I just think you look back, and I mean, I think having events, whether they're smaller events, women's opens, the U.S. Open. I mean, the best moments are when you're with all your previous people, when you share together your experience in a team. And I think my best events that I ever was involved with or hosted was, when we had challenges. We had some bad storms in 2016, delays, cleanup, the whole deal. 2010 was the same. So every event that you do brings its own set of challenges. But I think it also brings something that people that are with you that period in time and that week. Um, it's a very memorable moment that you go and you leave and you come back in time and you realize all the things that we all did to work together, and it takes everybody. I mean, I've always said that it takes everybody. It's the smallest things to the biggest things, but those are the greatest memories.
You mentioned Sand Ridge. What what made that team so special? Because, like you said, there are a lot of heavy hitters. I mean, what was it about that crew that was just so unique and so special?
Well, that's a great question, Brian. I think I was lucky back in that period of time where we were at, and our world and everybody, and parenting and upbringing. It was kind of a common thing. The kids in high school, I came out, worked the summers. I mean, and I was blessed that I had Bill Conway that kind of gave me keys and said, "Listen, turn this into something special. Go hire the people you want to hire." And in Chardon, Ohio, if you've never been there, it's a small little pocket of the world, and it was a challenge back then to recruit. We didn't really have anything, but we had a vision, and we had a dream, and that was part of the bringing it alive. And I'm going to miss people's names, but my first hire was Jim Roney. So Jim and I are dear friends to this day. I really couldn't have done it without him. And then we built off of that. We hired the Chad Marks, we hired the Brian Bates, Scott Bazins. Jason Hurwitz. Those guys were somewhat local, and they came and was part of watching this grow and build, and see something open. It was pretty remarkable, and they're all in a different place right now. I looked at your notes when you sent over, Brian, and some of them are still doing superintendent, some of them are successful in other parts of the business. But I tell you, what a remarkable group of people.
It leads into one of the things that we talk about a lot on this show, and is our leadership. And, a lot of the people we talk to are higher up in this industry or have come a long way. And you're somebody that's been there for a lot of people and helped, kind of guide them down the right path. So just talk to us a little bit about your leadership style and what's made you so successful.
Well, I don't know if I've been successful. That's probably that depends on how
That's an
you.
understatement more than anything.
Well, no, that depends on how you. That depends on who you talk to, how you define that. But that's okay. I still to this day, it's different now. We're in the different culture, work life balance, all those different things. But yet, I still come every morning, every day. I still really love what I do. I have a passion for it. I think even today, I got to figure out some way that we can make something better. And I think that's really, really important. I've always tried to share to people that are part of the team that when you step into part of the team and put on, your Sand Ridge, or put on your Oakmont, or put on your Inverness, I mean, you're part of the community. And I've been very fortunate that most of these clubs are a big part of the community, a big part of golf. But I also think, you challenge them and say, listen, if you're going to do this, you got to give your best. If you take your car to the garage, you don't want to get it back when it's not repaired correctly. You go to the pharmacy, you're trusting somebody that's doing the best they can that day. And it just goes on and on, repairman or whatever it might be. Everything's important. But I think I still live by the rules that I'm heavily involved. Uh, I don't ask people to do things I really wouldn't do myself. I still love to be around people and mentor them. And, hopefully at the end of the day, I don't know how many people are out there that I think I've had a positive influence on their life and their families. And that's really, I guess at the end of the day, that's really what I hope I get judged on.
Well, you you certainly have. You've certainly moved a lot of people along, and you've made a great impact on many careers. How do you know? You're spending obviously a lot of time with these folks. How do you know when an individual is ready to move on from where they currently are?
Well, that's a great question, but I think they usually know as well. Like, when you take your first job, your first opportunity, I think you hear so many times that up and coming, men and women will say, "Well, I want to learn everything. I want to learn anything." Well, I think we do. I'm pretty open to that. I share budgets. I share emails. I share things. There's certain things you can't share, obviously, as a manager, but I'm pretty open when it comes to all that stuff. But there's also certain things that you just got to step into that room and whether it's a grounds committee or a boardroom and just experience. Because good or bad, the business, that's what the biggest challenge is. You have changing boards, you have clubs that seem to gel and really get along real well. You got certain clubs that have Lazar, such as where Chad's at with Jack and Pine Valley. And then, one of my biggest challenge at Oakmont was, I had 17 grounds chairmans in my 18 years. And, you can complain about it, or you realize real quick, you better figure out how to adapt to it. And everybody's different. They want to talk to you on their way to work at 7 or 8. You might be the busiest time of your day, or they want to do it at the end of the day. They were going home. Some people respond better to phone calls versus they want everything in email. So, you kind of learn a lot about that, but you learn how to adapt to it. And you just the easiest thing for me is just to ask somebody. Like, hey, Brian, what style do you like? How do you want to do this? And I think that's kind of part of the business, and that's what I'm trying to teach the up and coming next generation here. You're going to throw the keys to is. I still, to this day, I don't deviate. It's Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, Mr. Whatever. I don't cross that. And they all say to me, John, you don't need to say it. Just call me Jerry or call me whatever. The club business is different. And I know there's all levels. There's a public resort and private, the whole deal. But I think it's a great rule to live by.
When we talk about some of those challenges, whether it's a tournament or a big event at your course or something like that, is there anything that sticks out to you that was really memorable that you guys really had to come together and get through and maybe you talk about and tell some of these young kids about?
Well, I think in 2016 we had that terrible storm, and they actually closed the golf course, and we didn't reopen. I think they closed it Wednesday, didn't open until Thursday. Wouldn't let any spectators out, and we worked around the clock and repairing everything. And I remember getting home after midnight, and I was sitting, I believe, with Doug Drugo, one of my close friends and volunteers, and Jim Rome was there. We had just fixed everything. And it was too late. We were up, probably having a Diet Coke, but and
Sure,
Yeah.
was.
and game planning for the next day. And we had a porch on the back of our house, and you could just hear the rain start all over again. And it
Oh
was
boy.
just like, yeah, and it wasn't a soft rain, and you knew we were in trouble again. And we went in, and I think it was probably about 130 or 140 of us started all over. And I told everybody, listen, this is where we're at. We've just worked 24 hours. I had a friend go to Cabela's, Tom Waite. He bought lights for everybody at that point in time for their on, the straps, the hiking lights. And It was just chaos, but yet we pulled it off, and they went out and played golf. And the conditions, at one point, I think Lowry was 10 under, and that sent everybody at Oakmont over the edge, which And then all of a sudden the weather changed, and we got it back together. And I think Dustin, won it 4 or 5 under. So that's a memorable moment. Probably the most recent memorable moment is two of them. We got asked to host the LPGA here at Inverness with 2 weeks' notice. Uh, yeah, and we didn't have spectators or anything, but there's a lot of coordination and planning to go. They needed a startup place to do it, so that's something that was like, whoa, okay, we got to figure this out, and so we had to do that, and then of course my probably funnest event that I really had, it was some they're all stress, but somewhat stress free, was the Solheim Cup. I've never experienced that, so obviously you don't have to be quiet. There's hooting and hollering. We're still somewhat in COVID. There's 130,000 people that show up here to the club. And it was just crazy, hooting and hollering and cheering and people putting. They didn't really care. And it was a different perspective of golf. It was match play. You didn't have to count the scores. And you just saw the fans and the members and the spectators and everybody having a wonderful time. So that was a pretty great experience.
You you mentioned a lot of the names, Tom Waite, Doug Drugo, Jim Roney, all those guys. When you're at that level and you're hosting championships like that, or even just, in the industry in general, I mean, how important is it to have those connections and people that you can rely on?
Well, I think it's really really important, and I missed a lot of names there. My
Sure.
brother always comes back and volunteers. Brendan Clark is now with me again. He's always been there. It's so important, and they know when they come in, like, okay, we're gonna have fun, but they also know, like, okay, John, how and where do you want me to be? How am I gonna help? And we usually do that. We split up. Somebody's on the front, somebody's on the back, and they're really your set of eyes. They know the standards. They know if there's a question from a volunteer, an employee, that they can answer it, or they know that they represent me, they could answer it. Because a lot of times you're being pulled away, or you're looking at something, or a rules thing, or whatever it might be. But no, it's extraordinarily important, and it's a lot of fun. And I think that's probably a whole nother topic for you guys, or that our industry is. I've had people show up like last Solheim event and stuff like that, had no idea they were coming, and they just look at you and you're shocked and like, yeah, I took a week's vacation, I'm here. I'm like, that's crazy.
All right, grab a rake.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and you have family and friends. My mom has never missed a championship.
Oh,
Which
no
is,
way.
Nice.
That's
yeah,
Nice.
awesome.
yeah, my mom has never missed one. And you think back and you go through that. So yeah, you got air mattresses and stacked up in the house and coordinating it. I think the work prior to the tournament is more stressful than doing the tournament, because there's hotels and raising money and food and flights and vans and transportation and uniforms, and it's a lot. It's actually a lot. I'm starting to think about it already, believe it or not, because we're going to hit 25 and we got the women's in 27 in the amateur, and you're like, oh boy, here we go again.
Turf Today is also brought to you by Apex 10 by Green Nature. And what is Apex 10? Well, it's a natural biostimulant, and it's something that you should be checking out. Go to greennature.life to check them out today. And on our Instagram, the Turf Today Instagram, we will be running a product giveaway with Apex 10. We're going to get a bunch of product into different people's hands. That way we can start getting some testimonials, start getting it out into some more courses, because this is a product that we believe in, and it's something you got to try. So give them a shot. Follow them at Apex 10 Life on Instagram.
I was gonna say, can you even count how many championships you've been a part of now?
Well, I mean, I've been a part of the big ones, the two opens at Oakmont. Had a women's open there, the an amateur at Oakmont, the Solheim here, a drive-on championship, here at Inverness. The junior amateur was here, and of course we have the upcoming women's and the amateur here at Inverness, but I've volunteered an awful lot too, which is very important too. I probably don't physically do as much or work as much, when I go to these things anymore. But every year trying to make sure Chad is supported. Phil up at Oakland Hills. Um, Jimmy, obviously, I told you at Socken. I forget what year it was. I think it was 2009. Jim had the Women's Open, and we had it in 2010. We did something really cool. We traded flags for the Women's Open. So he had one in nine. I took his flag and used it again. And nobody knows this, but they will now. But and I said, let me have your flag. I'm gonna give you one of my flags. We swapped them back and forth. We had them in advance, and we both have flags in our office that actually both those flags were for the 9 and the 10 Women's Open. So that's kind
No
of
way.
yeah, it's probably it's just something special for both of us that they have that. But and obviously you see flags here behind me or whatever. But and I think it's really cool because volunteers, family, we usually try to have people sign them, and you walk around this time of year. It's a cold day. You stop for a minute. I'm like, yeah, I wonder where they're at, or I wonder what they're doing, or you keep in touch. So it's been great.
And that's a common thing on here. We've had a lot of superintendents talk about, once you actually get to, your advanced week or your preparations for the tournament, the course is in good shape. You're already kind of ready to go. You have all your equipment and stuff. It is the lead in and it's getting everybody there and getting everything organized. So it can't all be on you. How much of that do you lean on your assistants and other people around the club to kind of make sure everything's, ready to go?
Well, I think that's a really interesting question, because I think really to this day, I still believe that most clubs have no idea what it really takes to do this. And that's something that I continue to work on, and invite members to our tent, to educate. I think our vendors, I mean, a huge shout out. Doesn't really matter if it's VASF, John Deere, Toro, all of them, it doesn't matter. All of them, Bear, Syngenta. I don't want to miss anybody because they're all their best. They're all so special. We've kind of really leaned on them, good or bad, but they really come through for a lot of people during these events and uniforms and raising money or whatever it might be. But yeah, you have your assistants, you have secretary. I mean, you can't do this stuff because that's a job in its own, and who's coming, and if you're at a level of having the open, depends on what's going on in the world. I mean, I've had to go through where all my employees and all the volunteers have to have background checks and fill paperwork out and send it in. And it's not fun. It is not fun when you're busy. And that's where people are like, well, you know, why you work so much? Why you do this? Well, you have to do all this stuff in advance. And the only time sometimes you can do this may be Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon or Sunday. And it takes a huge commitment by a lot of people, to pull these events off very successfully.
You mentioned earlier about working with Mr. Ladshaw at Congressional and just kind of the planning for the 95 and 97 events. And I
Yep.
know you weren't a part of the staff in 97, but how far in advance was Mr. Ladshaw talking about walk mowing fairways?
Well, he was talking about. I got there in '93, and I don't think that he wouldn't deny this. We had some challenges ahead of us. The golf course was not in good shape. We had bad greens, and everything that we seemed to try to do didn't turn out as well as we wanted it to go. But yet we kind of pulled it together, and the '95 Open back then was pretty big deal. That was Jack and Arnold and Chi Chi. They were all playing. I missed a few there along the way, but they were all really at that point in time. So it was kind of a trial run. And then, of course, my whole intent was, the goal is, listen, I'm young, I'm gonna be here for my first US Open. And then, that didn't work out. He pulled me aside and said, there's another opportunity. And that's who he was.
Yeah.
He was, this is the right opportunity. You got to do that. But I learned a lot. You learn a lot about back then. He was really the pioneer that said to, our vendors, can you support a meal? Can you, support, helping us with hotels? And I mean, you need to get sheets. You need to rent cots. You need vans. I mean, it's just crazy and checking off and who's where and coordinating. And I did leave in the fall of '95, but interesting enough, I really kept in touch. And he allowed me to be a huge, huge part of '97. I'll never forget it. With his management team, he made me be involved with those guys starting their crews and doing their crews and coordinating things. So it was a wonderful experience. And then, of course, yes, hand mowing the fairways. I think everybody on our way in had a truckload of Jacobson mowers that we were bringing to the middle fairway. And there was no special treatment too. I want you to know, you guys should have this on record because Paul B and I, you would think that's his son. I spent enough time with him. You'd think we'd have just a little bit of a little upper hand or chip. And he sent us out to mow fairways, hand mow. And he said, yeah. And we said, well, how are we getting there? He said, well, you guys got to walk. So we didn't get the first or second hole. We were all the way at the end of the property,
Oh, yeah.
and then running irrigation at night. And oh man, but those are great memories. And as you know, I'm a Steeler fan. The standard is the standard, as Tomlin said. And I think that probably is a great way to sum up Mr. Latcho.
That's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
You've seen so much innovation, through it's 30 years now you've been doing tournament golf and helping with golf courses and stuff. So what are some of the things you're excited for now with all of the, autonomous mowing and different GPS stuff that's coming into the industry right now?
Well, I've just kind of really started to mess around with the mowing a little bit, the robotic mowing. I think the just put a new irrigation system in. That's fascinating. With where that's at and what it can go to. Being able to use things on your phone and the apps. Data that you can pick up with soil sensors and then just so many different things. So that's really interesting to me. But the other part that's really interesting to me is we have all this stuff and we can do it, but yet in my mind, there's still the basic fundamentals, the one, two, threes that you got to make sure you do those right, and you can interconnect those two, and that's really interesting. And I think that's going to be with all the new things that are out there. A lot of clubs with the precision air. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the next I don't know, 4, 5, 10 years bring, and how all these things are still working, and how we're taking and learning from this information, and what adjustments they are, uh, how long they last. I mean, there's a lot of things that are totally different. I mean, just look at we could have a whole afternoon talking about how do you want to build a bunker and what kind of liner do you want to use.
Hmm.
And that's as fundamental as it gets. So that's I think to me like the biggest interesting thing is how's all this new technology, how's it fit into what we're doing day to day, and how are we going to see how long this stuff lasts, and how it operates, and how are we going to learn from it all. So we'll see.
You mentioned the basics and getting the basics and fundamentals right. Do you have like one core value, one core fundamental for your agronomic programs that you just, focus on? We've got to get XYZ right in order for everything else to be successful.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy for me. I mean, I think most people could probably, I'm talking about players, they could probably accept, a scalp or somebody hit the intermediate. But I think they have a hard time accepting when there's easy things, that there's clippings on the fairway or small little detail things, and the stick isn't nice and straight, or the markers aren't lined up. Like, to me, those are all things that are controllable. And I've kind of learned that, believe it or not, most people don't see the level of detail that we see, but it's the smallest little things that I think they see, or if signs are crooked and pointing the wrong way. So I'm really a big detail oriented. I'm like, if things get going too fast, which we all know in all of our worlds, they get going too fast. I think that's my responsibility to say we're trying to do too much, pull it back. Let's just pull things back, regroup. And I really, truly believe on that. It's no different than going into the biggest event you're going to host, the Open or Solheim or whatever it might be. At some point, you get to whatever that time is, a week, 2 weeks out, and you are who you are. You're only going to, at that point, you have to accept this is what we are. That's probably been the biggest thing I've learned over doing this at time, because we all want to do more and more. And it's like, no, that's not the right answer. It's like, let's, whatever we have, let's make it as great as we possibly can. And this is who we are. We're coming down and running out of time. So we need to be the best we can with what we have.
Sometimes you just have to step back and say, like, this is where we are. This is our
Yep.
golf course. We're proud of it. And let's just sharpen the knives, make everything as beautiful as we can on our course. And that leads me into my next question about you being on the golf course. We have a lot of working superintendents out there. And if you were at the course for a day where there was a lot of things that needed to be done and you had a short staff, where would you put yourself? Would you be changing holes? Would you be out cutting grass? Like, what would you like to do on the golf course?
Yeah, I guess the greens are always the most, important. So yeah, I think, picking hole locations, I still love to do that. And actually the guys will tell me that I haven't pulled my hose out of my cart in a long time. But that's not true. Occasionally I do that. That's not
You've
true.
earned that
Occasionally.
right, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love the water to do things because I think it's such an art, and doesn't matter where you're at, but golf course, it's all so different. So those two combinations, but I still am pretty heavily involved with, every morning I start to staff, I go in. I think that's so important. I want to look at people. I want to see how they are. I want to communicate good morning and see how they're doing along the way and talk to them. But I also think that every superintendent should, really kind of know that day, like what the golf course is kind of like. I have people come up all the time here, and they're somewhat kidding, but they're like, "What, are you pissed off today?" I'm like, well, no, why? Like, well, those holes, holy cow, it's terrible. I'm like, oh yeah. I never blame it. I haven't cut a hole in quite a while, but I never blame anybody. I'm like, oh yeah, I picked him over there, and sometimes I do pick them over there. And I think it leads to I think it leads to great conversation. Especially a place like Inverness. I mean, we just have the absolute just best membership. Brian, you were here. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
this is just what golf's supposed to be. They are so proud, so much history, and they're engaged, but not micromanaging, and they just have fun. This is a place that they come and they want to have fun.
So speaking of the history there at Inverness, talk a little bit about. I think there's a good tie with the green section. Talk a little bit about the history of Inverness and kind of its role in the development of that.
Well, I mean, we're sitting here right now. My office is named the E.J. Marshall building. The club named it after E.J. Marshall, which with the USGA started the green section. So that was what, 2 years ago, 100 years ago. That's pretty remarkable. Uh, you think of Inverness and the history in their championships. In 1920, it's the first club to ever let the professionals use the locker room, which is like pretty cool when you think about it. So when you walk into the clubhouse, as soon as you walk into the left, there's a trophy case, but there's a grandfather clock. So back in 1920, the players passed the hat and they bought the club a clock. It still chimes to this day. It's remarkable. And the club, when we have club championships or whatever it might be, member guests or anything, the trophy is a picture of the club, or I'm sorry, of the clock, which is a really cool thing in the history of part of it. GCSA started across town here at Sylvania. That's 10 minutes away. So it's a National Historic Landmark. There's just a lot of really neat things about the club. The Stranahan family was involved here years ago. He was a great amateur player. The Stranahan family, we have a room here, the Stranahan room. It's beautiful. Uh, and they started the Champion Spark Plug years ago. So, but Frank Stranahan was a wonderful, wonderful player. So lots of history. Byron Nelson was the head pro here for, I believe, it was either 2 or 4 years. A lot of great, great things. I'm spoiled. Um, I get the wonderful honor of getting to work with JJ Weaver. JJ is the head professional at Augusta National. JJ comes up here to Inverness for about 3.5, 4 months. He's got his wife's family from here. Think about that, that you get to work with somebody that special. During the prime time, and he's just a dear friend. So there's a lot of things going on here that's pretty unique. But I think the most important thing is when people come and visit here, they always say they have a sense of a feeling of there's some feeling here. There's a feeling of warmth. It's a feeling of welcome, and that's really what the club's mission is. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I would love to visit that golf course. That sounds like a great spot.
Yeah.
And anybody who enjoys, visiting places like that and the history and yeah, I love going to a golf course. And I always get my own feeling being at a golf course. But if you can get that from a membership and from a clubhouse and the grounds and stuff, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really neat.
You mentioned earlier that you weren't a big golfer, but we got to ask. I mean, being a superintendent and working at some big courses, you must have played some rounds. There must be some cool stories of your golf.
I don't know that I have a great golf story.
Do you get to ever play your own course before a tournament or after
Oh,
a tournament or something like that?
yeah. I'll play 2 or 3 times a year, but I'm not really a player, and I'll go and play. I mean, I played, with like I said, a couple of my friends. We've set it up and played Pebble or Cypress. That's a special time and a moment in time. Like I said, occasionally there's a few members here will play and do some things, and yeah. I mean, you check it's an interesting question because most people from the outside think that that's all you do. Wow, that's cool. You play golf all the time. No, not really. No, but I do love the game and I get it, and I've got to play great places, the Oakmonts and the Sand Ridges and Cypress and Pebble and Pinehurst and all those places like that. It's I don't know. I don't know. It's you. I think when you go and do those things, it's probably more important who I'm with
Hmm.
on that day for the memory of that point in time. And then when you put who you're with such a special place, it's a pretty unique experience.
Tough to beat. I think we talked to a
Yeah.
lot of guys that struggle to play because it's, you
Yep.
spend so much time at the golf course. It's kind of your labor of love. So it's hard to get that free time to get out and play.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Everybody, it's hard. I mean, look at the holidays right now. Time just goes so fast.
Flying.
It just
Yeah.
goes so fast. It's crazy. It's unbelievable.
So, so going back to the course, what was you guys obviously went through a big restoration with Andrew Green. Talk about the process of taking Inverness kind of back in time.
Well, we did the first one with Andrew in 2017, and that's when all the moving was going on. Chad had went to Muirfield, and Paul had left and went to Marion, and I made my change to come here. And that was one of the reasons I really was intrigued about this. The club would tell you it was tired. Um, Chad pushed and sparked the idea for a bunker plan and to take it to the next step. Had changed some bad golf holes that were not conducive to what they originally had. So I think I literally was given like some plans and specs, and I mean I think I was here. I'm not exaggerating. I might have been here 2 weeks, and here we go.
Here you go. Have fun.
So, yeah. So, but I had a comfort. Andrew's great. Andrew's going to deliver. There's never a question about that. We had McDonald and Sons. I've worked with them for 25 years now, and that's great. It was just the club's never really been through anything like this, and there was a learning curve and where things are at, and so the first one was a little more challenging, but it was very, very successful, and that's really a part to Andrew, McDonald's, and honestly, back then, it's hard. You go to a new job, you're building a new staff. A lot of really good guys that dedicated a lot of time, and we made it work. And then, so this second one was really phase two. And it was more about going back and tweaking some things. What did we learn? And obviously, imagine that we removed a lot of trees here. That's hard to believe, but but we
That is
took a
hard to
lot.
believe.
Yeah, but we took a lot of trees out, and honestly, that's the way it was back in the 1900s. So we're trying to find a balance of all that stuff, and we had to tweak and add a few tee boxes because the game's changed a little bit for maybe senior players or forward tees. We added some bunkers in some places for just the way where the ball is going and some tweaks. Just overall little things. Some cart path work, new bunker sand. Yardage in places. So it was a lot of this was, for the membership, but yet doing things that make sense for our next event for, championships for the women and for the upcoming amateur. So, it was a huge success. We just had our meeting last week for the board meeting. We had more golf, more rounds, more play, more revenue than we had in the last whatever maybe. And we did the entire project while the golf course was open.
Hmm.
So we
That,
closed it.
that was going to be my question.
Yeah,
Like, were you guys actually continuing
yeah,
golf while you were doing this? That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. And I did that at Oakmont when we did a renovation back before the '07. So I kind of knew that you could do this and be successful. McDonald and Sons was fantastic. We were working with Heritage Golf Irrigation to do this as well. But we have a little par three hole that when you come off the eight green, it's a short game. So we kind of turned it into what they called 8A, and 8A would come into play, come off eight, and you go to nine championship tee, and you could play the short game, and you'd still get your 18 holes. And it was fun. And what would be really interesting, and I kind of really, I really put this pressure on Heritage Irrigation and McDonald's that, listen, we're going to play golf and we're going to work on this golf hole. And we might be on it for a week or 10 days, and we're going to open it though. And it's a challenge to see how good is your work? How good a week can we do? And that's different, that's really different because you can't be sloppy. And there's times that I think that we did better than we probably thought we would do. And there's times that I wasn't happy. I thought that we could have done better and we didn't, manage the situation as good. But they played golf. They would then play a hole and it was finished. New bunkers, new sand, whatever it might be, a new tee box. And we would just we just kind of ground under repair, put it in play. And we did it the entire time. Um, and if we had a special event, we would try to make sure the original 18 were open. But it was really really successful. So it just shows you, if you think outside the box, you can do some different things. And we knew like closing is not an option. We're too busy. And that listen, that was the easy answer for me. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, for sure. But when you really stop and think about it, it's not just the grounds. It's the folks that nobody's coming to buy something out of the pro shop. Nobody's coming to use the locker room. Nobody's coming to eat. You got staff, you got waiters. And so we really worked through this and had a plan and said, listen, there's going to be some inconvenience, but we can do this. And there's going to be some times, and I said this earlier on, we had an annual meeting. There are going to be some times that we probably overachieve, and there's going to be some times that we really, really disappoint you. And I'm going to apologize now. And I would say for the most part, though, that we overachieve.
That's awesome. It's
Yep.
it's such a great service to be able to provide the members to actually see the work happening, right? You see the
Yep.
whole transforming. And I think, like you talked about, the attention to detail and raising that level of professionalism, you're doing that work right in front of them. You're working together. Maybe there's the odd hole where you got to move the tees or put a flag out in front of the green for an hour or two. And I've
Yep.
I've been there. I know what it's like. And I think it really raises that level where your guys aren't just, courses closed, everything's stripped off, guys are wearing t-shirts, music's playing. You're
Right.
still right under the gun and you're doing what you do best, kind of while golf is in place. So I think more courses should do that because you keep your
It's
members there. You get to, they get to see everything happening and you kind of do it together, right? You're all part of that course together. You're all turning the wheel at the same time. So it's really cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, and they get to see it, you know. There's, you know, the people that are really interested get to see it, and they see you doing a drain and how's this work, or they get to see you putting the irrigation in, or wow, that's really cool, or you walk them through why you're doing this. So, you know, that's you can turn it into a positive, you know, for sure.
John, you've been a part of a lot of great events. You've accomplished a lot in your career. Number one, how do you kind of stay driven and motivated, in your day to day? And then number two, is there something that you really want to be a part of before your career comes to an end?
Hmm. Well, the second part I got to think about. That's a good question. I think the first part is I have been blessed that somebody has given me an opportunity and then given me the ability, and you know, God has given me this talent that I love to get up and come to work and do this. And then wow, you know, when you work for an organization like the Inverness Club and there's such great people, that motivates you even more not to let anybody down. And I don't want to let anybody down. I really do not want to do that. I think that's a little bit of what motivates me is that I don't want to fail. You can define failing in many, many ways, but I really believe that if you can kind of, you know, do these things or do extra, I believe they get noticed. I really do. I try to teach that there's nobody that maybe is looking and I stop and pick up a branch or I stop and pick up trash. But if I drive by it, it gets in my head like I know better than that. I got to set an example. This is my standard. I got to do this. So little things to me are really what make a difference, and I think that's why you know I've often asked people questions like, you know, obviously you love golf or you're going to be a member at a club, but when you ask the question to members a lot, they say no, it's more than that. It's a place that we know who the employees are. It's a place that we feel comfortable. It's a place that we know what our family, they know what our family has food allergies to. They're willing to pay for things like that. And I often thought about that a little bit because when we go away and we go to a special place or vacation or whatever, when we want it to be great, they're paying for it. So I don't think that's wrong for them to have, you know, expectations that are, you know, fundamentally you can deliver every day. That's what makes it great. The second part of your question, I forget.
Yeah, it was just, is there something you want to be a part of before you call it quits in this industry?
Well, I mean, I really hope I've already been a part of it. I hope I've been a part of making the profession better. I hope I've been a part of, you know, taking people, whether they're young, somewhere in the middle of life, or even, you know, I've got some wonderful people that are retired, and I spent a lot of time, had a lot of fun with them. Hopefully to look back and, you know, get to say that I did my part to you know make their life a little better or make the job a little better. I'm a people person. I think a lot of people will tell you that I push. I'm hard,
I've heard
but
that once or twice.
yeah, I'm sure. But I think which is fair. But I kind of hold myself to that standard. But I also think that the opportunity is there for people to do these things, and they'll get rewarded. For the people that are inspiring to get into the profession and to take these next steps, can you think of a better time and opportunity and financially for what is available for them the future? And somebody just asked this question: is, you know, what do I say to them? Well, make sure that you go work for somebody that can be a great mentor and learn from them, because the opportunity is just it's so great there. And you know, salaries have changed, hourly rates have changed, which they should have. They should have. But you know, you'll get rewarded for your hard work. You really, really will. I've experienced that. I've seen that.
We appreciate that advice. We have a lot of younger folks that listen to this
Yep.
show and ask questions about, their avenues and what they should do. So, people like yourself getting to talk about that and them getting to listen to you, it could change their careers or their lives or their families' lives. So we're always trying to push people into this industry and teach them about, the good and how much it can change you as a person. So, we appreciate you giving that advice.
I wanted to not to put anyone on the spot, but kind of put someone on the spot. Is there anyone that really surprised you? Any guys that you were like, I don't know if he's going to make it, and turned out to be rock stars?
Oh boy, I don't know that I have a name, but it's a great question. No, it's a great question, Brian. There's people that you really, really think are like, wow, and then for some reason, maybe life takes them somewhere different, whatever it might be. And then there's other ones you're like, oh boy, you got some work to do here. Then all of a sudden, they're like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. They got it together. But that's what's kind of the cool thing about the entire business. It's as you guys know, it is such a wonderful, wonderful profession. Uh, you know, I'm sure that everybody along the way has some challenges here or there with maybe a relationship or something, but all in all, for the most part, it is just really, really a great profession where everybody's, we're kind of competing, but we're competing hopefully in a friendly way, and every place is different. There's so much opportunity, and I really, I just was at the John Deere Green Start where where we're mentoring, and you just kind of look and it's like same thing, man. It's you guys, you got such a bright future. Make sure you take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's great. There's so much opportunity out there right now. It's unbelievable. But John, we greatly appreciate you spending some time with us here today. And like Adam said, it's your episode. Is there anything else you want to touch upon before we let you go?
I think I'm good. I really would tell you, I really enjoyed this. It was a real honor for you guys to, have me or think of me, and I really appreciate that. And you know, uh, anybody watching this, come visit, reach out. If you're looking to, want an opportunity for the next couple of championships here coming up at Inverness, I'd love for you to reach out and contact us about joining the team, or just coming and volunteering, or just coming and visit. As you said, Brian, you've been here. It's a special place.
It is. It's a remarkable place, and you are certainly a gracious host. So we had an absolute blast. I think the blessing in disguise was getting rained out on like 14 or 15 when we were up there last, and just got to spend a couple hours hanging out with you. It was
Yeah,
it
it
was
doesn't.
fantastic.
You're probably right. It doesn't get easier after 14, 15.
Yeah, no, it worked out.
Yeah.
Certainly worked out in our favor. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, but
Oh
no,
gosh.
this has been fantastic, John. Again, greatly appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing you in San Diego, hopefully in a couple of weeks.
Yep, that'll be here before we know it too.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right. All right, guys. Happy New Year.
Thank you so
Happy
much,
New
John.
Year,
This was
John.
great.
All right. Take
All right.
care.
All right, have
All
a
right,
good
you
All
one.
right.
too. We'll see you.
All right. Bye. Bye. Bye.
What a way to kick off the year, huh?
Fantastic. Another great guy. It
Oh
almost seemed
yeah.
like he was a little nervous to start, and then he just opened up. And so all these guys, like, they have such big reputations, and you do talk to people who've worked for them, and they're like, oh, he's a hard ass, or oh, he's tough, and you meet them on here and you talk to them, and they're just down to earth, great guys. They come from hardworking backgrounds and good families, and they're just trying to help. He talks so much about the membership and all the people that he's helped bring up and help kind of, guide along the right path and stuff. Like, it's amazing. He's been doing
Yeah.
tournament golf for 30 years, and he still loves it. He's still planning and excited for the next one. And I love that for our industry. I love that for people kind of coming up and learning from a guy like that.
Yeah, he's one of the best. There's no question. He's, like we talked about, he's trained and moved so many people along. And, again, it's a conversation that we've had on this podcast so many times. I think a lot of superintendents, pretty much all of them that I know, they're more interested in creating people than they are creating great surfaces, right? So it's he's certainly a testament to that, and certainly lives up to it for sure.
I love how he had the open invite there. There's always people looking for an event
Yeah.
to go to and work. They're hosting events every year, so reach out to John, and It sounds like he'll have you. It'd be a cool experience to get to go and work there, meet some people. Could be the first one you're doing, could be the 40th one you're doing, but it sounds like a great place. I'd love to
Yeah.
go check out that
Yeah.
club for sure.
I have a feeling Prayer's going to be out there.
Oh, he'll be there. Oh, yeah.
He just got that invitation. He's out. I'm going to Toledo.
Or he signed up for it and hasn't remembered yet.
That's right. That's
What
right.
is that?
A late night partying, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks before, wait, are you coming?
John, shit, sorry.
I love it.
Oh, man.
No,
That's
it was
so good.
awesome. Yep. Yeah. Just again, I mean, he's you think of these people that are at these elevated or, very prestigious positions, right? And some people tend to, get a little intimidated and think, oh, that,
Mhm.
he's not gonna want to talk to me, or I can't reach out to him and ask him a question. But again, they're all the same. At the end of the day, they love what they do. They love being around people and training people and all that. And so, that thought of, oh, they're untouchable or whatever. It's just, I've yet to run across someone like that. They're always just so welcoming. It's just, that's John. That's great.
Yeah.
I was honestly a little intimidated the first time I went up and met him. There's a couple guys, you hear those reputations, like you mentioned, they're hard to work for, blah, 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 and really push it. Like, oh man, I'm so nervous. This guy's going to yell at me if I do something wrong, blah, blah, blah. But he's, it's like John's just welcoming you with open arms. Like I mentioned, when I was up there a couple years ago, we got rained out. John just, we had a group of guys. We were up playing before another event in the area. And he came out, checked on us a couple times, he'd walk a hole with us or whatever. And then we got rained out. It's like, well, you guys want to go check stuff out? Like, yeah, of course we do. So he, took us around his shop, showed us they've got so much history just in their maintenance facility. And then you go into their clubhouse, and like you mentioned, the grandfather clock and
Right.
and just all the photos of the championships the club has hosted over the years and all that. And then we sit down with him, and he just, has a Diet Coke with us or whatever there for a little bit, and, hanging out for literally 2 hours, just sitting there talking like, hey, well, this is great. Don't you have something better to do though?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just a great guy.
best.
Great guy.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're going tobogganing today. I don't know about you guys.
Outstanding.
Mhm.
I'm going to go take my son to lacrosse practice, and then I think we've got some work to do, painting kids' bedrooms and
nice.
mounting TVs in their rooms, which is a big
Nice.
step. I'm hoping I don't regret that, but
Yeah. Well, you're never going
Yep.
to see him again.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. And then try and get back into the flow of work. So it's been
Yeah.
a great break, but happy to be getting back into it.
100%.
Just looked at my calendar. I was trying to build a content calendar for our team here, and it's like, oh crap, the travels start. It's like
Yeah,
basically from the first week in January through all the way through GCSAA conference, pretty much on the road. So
Boy.
back at it, brother.
Yeah. Are you going to be swinging the sticks before we tee off the Tory?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. You saw how bad my game was. See, look at that. We talk about it on here, and you got to see it, and you got to see it in person. How
Didn't
bad
you
it's
have
bad.
like 10 birdies in a row or 10 pars in a row or something like that?
Well,
the
yeah, but
par
that was a
three?
little dinky par 3 course, right?
I don't know. The
it's-
wind was howling.
It was howling. It was howling. No, that was. What was funny is I watched a little bit of that footage from the handheld that you put together,
Mhm.
and I had to laugh because we were on 10 and you got that out, and this was when we played with Jason on the real course, and you're like, oh, here's Brian, he's just been lighting it up all day long, and we're just like, dude, I just shot like 46 on the front. What are you talking about, bro?
Quit lying to
Tell
the
us about
people,
the
man.
shot. What do you see? What do you see? Oh, I got 98 yards. I'm either gonna shank it, skull it, hit it fat, or who knows what else. Yeah. No, it was fun. That was fun. But no, yeah, playing. I've got a buddy's 55th birthday that we're going down south to go play a couple rounds of golf, and work in a couple of visits while I'm down there. And
Nice.
like John said, drink a few Diet Cokes and have a good time. But yeah,
You
we'll
won't
get
make
a
your way
couple
back to
more
the
reps.
elbow room, will you?
No, we're going to be on the Gulf Coast. But
Okay.
I am going. Lauren has a conference down there later in February. So it's over her birthday. So I'm going to make that trip with her, and I'll be back at the elbow room. For
Nice.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure
See
you
if
text Jerry
was
before.
there. I will. I'm going to be texting Jerry. Oh, we need to have an episode on that.
Oh yeah,
Our buddy
yeah. If
Jer
you've
Bear.
ever been to Fort Lauderdale, and you've been to the Elbow Room, you know exactly what we're talking about. But, yeah,
great time.
It's funny. I've
Great
heard
time.
of that bar so many times. You can hear people tell stories of it. It's a big hockey bar, so a lot of guys have talked about it before. But to actually be there and sit at that bar and watch what goes on, and the first time we were there, the guy's like, the longer you sit here, the crazier shit you're gonna see. We couldn't leave because it's just getting more fun and more
That's right.
entertaining.
God, I don't even want to know how many hours we spent at that bar. We easily spent a combined 16 to 20 hours at
Oh,
that
for
bar.
sure. Yeah. And the second time it was like,
Mm.
yeah, when we were like, oh, we're just gonna go over there for a little day drinking, and it's like, hey, it's midnight. Should we leave?
Team bonding.
Oh,
Bonding.
yeah.
It was,
Yeah,
it
we
was
had a good time. Okay, buddy. You guys
All
have
right,
fun.
man.
Keep in
good
touch.
stuff. Yeah. Have fun out there sledding.
We'll do.
All right, buddy. We'll
Okay,
see you.
take care. Huge shout out to our sponsors, Toro, Standard Golf, and Apex 10. Also want to say a huge thank you to John Zimmers. He was fantastic, and we couldn't have done it without him. So we will see everybody next week. We are excited to be back for another year of Turf Today. Be safe out there, and don't forget to keep those reels sharp. Okay, don't worry. I'm still here. I appreciate you sticking around to the end of the show, or maybe you fast forwarded all the way because you couldn't wait. We are very excited to announce that we're working with the Andersons much more this year. We did a little bit with them last year, a little bit of a sponsor of the podcast, did some stuff on the Instagram, but they are a much bigger partner this year and getting much more involved. We talked about them taking over the Sunday polls. Reach out to us if there's something you guys are really wanting to know, what course does what, or how many people out there do certain things, or, if you had an option between this and this, what would you choose? It's great when people get to engage in it, because the voice of Turf Today isn't mine. I'm here to move things around and host this, but it's not my voice. It's your voice. It's everybody's voice. It's our community. And the Andersons are going to do a great job of trying to integrate a lot of those questions, a lot of those tough subjects into our show and into our Instagram, because I'm not a scientist. I'm not a history major. I can't tell you all of this stuff. I don't have all the answers. People reach out to me sometimes for the answers, and I try and push it around to different people. Some of the experts we've talked to on the show, and some of the people with a lot of experience. So we're really excited to get that going. It's going to come out in the next few weeks. We're going to be working with, I believe, a couple different agronomists, and eventually have them on the show as well. So there's going to be extra things that we're going to be able to do with them. But, send us a DM, send us an email. If you have these questions for the agronomists, and we're going to go through them and pick out some good ones and definitely get them presented to you and get them answered, because it's something that's very important. And I know I've had a couple very specific questions for years that, to be honest with you, I never really had answered. And you could probably dive into Google and things like that, but these guys these men and women are really good, and they're professionals at what they do. So this is something we're very excited that we can lean on them to provide some really good answers. So send us an email. The other really cool thing is, if you're heading to the show in San Diego, the Andersons going to have a big booth at the trade show. They're going to be giving away a spreader. Maybe 2, maybe 3, but they're definitely going to be giving away a spreader, maybe some product as well. And that's all going to be surrounding the Ask the Agronomist section of our podcast. So you go over to the booth, you're going to be able to sign up like a little bit of a ballot or a little bit of a piece of paper with a question, and you'll be entered into the draw. And hopefully that day on the trade show floor, we're going to be able to give away some stuff, which is going to be very exciting, and kick off our year with the Andersons. So if you have some pressing questions, don't feel like the show won't be able to answer them. We are going to try and go through a lot of them. We got a full year worth of episodes coming, so there's going to be a lot of great stuff. Guys, just reach out to us if you have questions or you have things you want to see or hear, because we are here for you. And like I said, the voice is yours.